Welcome back again to another exciting episode of the Chasing Tone Mob podcast.
You're always chasing me, Brian.
Chasing Tone Mobs. Like tons of mobs. That
So
are
many.
interested in tone.
It's like the Pokemon Go that you got to catch them all.
That's exactly what we need to make an app. We call it Chasing Tone Mob, and we need to it should be a complete ripoff of the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of whatever a Pokemon is, it's like guitar pedals. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that'd be fun. I would totally run around town trying to catch metal zones.
Would that not be a great app? Hey, I'm here all day. I got all kinds of ideas, man.
That'd be great. You'd see people wandering around, looking at their phones, and then somebody would be like, Guys, there's a clone over here. There's a clone.
It's the golden clone, even. It's the golden clone.
Uh-huh. Man, I would totally play that game.
That would be
100%.
Great. There is no reason why someone way smarter than me cannot make an app like that for us guitar players. I'm begging at this point,
Would you believe it? There's a Euphoria over here. Your goal is just to make the most massive pedal board of all time.
Right.
Love this idea.
I'm telling you. $1 million will be 100 errors in no time with something like that.
Oh man, baby, the dream is alive. American dream of being a 100 error podcaster / app salesman. Exactly.
So, my friend, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been really good. It's really busy. Had another successful little launch. Talked about it a lot, but we did a run of silver Pelletars through Tone Mob with the Pelican Noiseworks. And they had some circuit tweaks, and then they were, just real fancy looking, and came in a nice wooden box, and those sold out in like 2 days. I was very, very pleased.
So, sort of like a coffin for pedals, then.
Exactly. It was a pedal coffin, yes. And I think it might have even been made out of pine. So there you go. A pine box for your fuzz.
Awesome.
So that was cool. Doing this podcast, so that's always exciting. What other new things happened? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, I can't talk about that. So yeah, it's been good.
Well, I myself have had a very crazy week.
Tell me more.
Well, I have 5 kids.
Yes.
Right? So 2 are from previous marriage from on my side, and then 3 are from a previous marriage on my wife's side, and altogether it's 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're all ages like 9 to 20 now, right? So,
right.
So right now, 2 of them are out of school, 3 of them are starting school, but they're all in different schools, and of course, they all start at different days. So what that means is I'm trying to run my business. I'm trying to design stuff. I'm trying to keep up with customer service and social and all that stuff, while going to Walmart to pick out pencils and folders and school orientations and all school clothes shopping and all the normal dad stuff,
right,
parent stuff. So it's just it's been a chaotic week. So what that means is I work for 3 hours, then we go to something for a couple hours, and I come home and work for an hour, then we go to another something for a little while, and then I come home and work for 2 hours, and next thing you know, it's midnight, and I'm like, crap, I get up 5:30 tomorrow.
And you're like, ain't this something? Ain't this something?
Yeah.
So this is not the first time you've been dealing with this. So this is something you, as a business guy, has been dealing with for a long time, is the balance, right?
The balance, yeah. And I've talked to a lot of other pedal company and musical instrument company owners that struggle with the same thing, because the truth of it, a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but I know some people think that all of us are much bigger than what we are. You know what I mean? Like there's some 50,000 square foot facility that we drive to in our bins, park the car and walk in. The sign in the parking lot says CEO, dude.
Parking only.
Yeah, CEO parking only, and yeah, it's not like that at all.
So
At all.
you don't have a special storage facility for your mink coat once you get there?
I do not. Nope. Nor do I have a personal assistant who goes and fetches my coffee or anything like that.
Huh. Well, I've seen the intro to your YouTube videos. I can legitimately say and vouch for you in the fact that you get your own coffee.
I do get my own coffee. Yep. It's not even from a cool coffee maker either.
No, it's not. You're totally Squaresville with that drip pot coffee maker.
I know. And the thing is, it's not like for lack of a desire, because I would like something better. I just like, with everything going on, I have to think, okay, so what's the best use of my time? Is it making coffee in the morning, or is it just like throwing something in there and being done with it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the best use of that half hour.
Yep.
Now, if I had a personal assistant, I could be like, you need to grind some beans and you need to make me some coffee, dude.
Yeah. Well, there's no way I'm going to get up off the couch and do that for you, so sorry.
And I tried to teach my wife to do that.
Uh-huh.
Man, she just refuses to do it.
Well, what? I don't even know what to say to that. I don't know. My wife makes me coffee in the morning. I'm lucky and spoiled. So,
well, my wife, since she's, I guess technically should be the vice president,
right?
Maybe? So, it's usually because she's like, I'm doing your job. You make your own coffee. You should be doing what I'm doing today anyways.
And you're like, yeah, but okay.
Like, but you're so much better at it though. You love looking at spreadsheets. I hate it.
Spreadsheets are your jam, honey. They are. And I just want you to succeed.
I'm just giving you what you want. I'm here to just please you, and you love spreadsheets.
Doesn't everyone? Doesn't everyone love spreadsheets? Nothing like a good, rousing Excel session to really bring you out of a funk.
Oh, I know. Some that column. And
ooh, that gives me the warm and tinglies inside just thinking about summon columns and man. Calculating losses and gain. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's wonderful.
It totally is wonderful. Yes. So I mean, that's there's a huge balance going on with a lot of us, because like I said, we're really smaller companies. Even though we may be more prevalent like social media type stuff than other people, we're still all pretty small companies. So a typical day is wake up, make some quick coffee, and catch up on email, catch up on Facebook stuff, catch up on Instagram stuff, catch up on YouTube. So when I say stuff, that's like messages, comments. So it's like the whole customer service social media side. That's the first 3 hours of my day, and then along those lines, there's always people calling about, and it could be a million different people, whether it's vendors or, different staff that works for me. Because not many people know this. We're very unconventional where I do have a central office, but a huge portion of us work from our homes. So, I mean, yeah, there's an office with a few people in there. But, got a guy in England, got a guy in Virginia, you got me over here, you got an engineer that's 2 hours away from me. We're all spread out. And so that means there's a lot of Skype calling that goes on, and a lot of conference calling that goes on. So it takes up a lot of time.
But I think that gives you some advantages too, though. Having people spread out like that, you're not limiting who you can hire, basically, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, you're not limited. You're not limited to trying to find the best guitar audio electronics engineer in Martinsville, Indiana. Yeah,
Right.
that helps.
That'd be you.
I'm the only one that can spell it here.
That's right.
No. That's bad. For all the Martinsville people listening to this, I'm sorry, but it's true.
There's not any Martinsville people listening.
Probably not. So, I mean, and then you throw on top of that, you throw kids in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, when we're coming out of the summer. And don't even get me started on summers, because summers are chaotic. It's just so chaotic. And starting into school, like there's just it totally breaks up the time in a million different ways.
Right.
If that makes sense, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm trying to get this new fancy Pelican clone out,
Right.
I'm trying to get this Pelican clone out, and I'm reverse engineering this Pelican pedal.
Right.
And kids are interrupting me, like saying, "Dad, we got to go to the school for orientation."
You're like, I'll finish this first.
And I'm like, you don't understand. My multimeter batteries are dying, and I can't read the voltages.
And if Dad can't read the voltages, that means no food for you.
Right. If Dad doesn't read the voltages, you don't eat.
So let Dad read the voltages, okay? And maybe a few ohms here and there. Let me do it.
You understand, these surface mount parts these capacitors don't have any markings. Now I gotta take them all out and measure them. Yeah, it's yeah.
I tried to
totally
reverse
teasing.
engineer something one time that was surface mount, and I went, never mind. This is way above my pay grade.
It's there's a talent there. You know what I mean? Because it's not like looking at a through hole pedal with through hole parts where you can oh, well, that's a 1 microfarad cap. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work that way with surface mount, because the capacitors are not marked.
No, I found that out, and I was like, put this back together. Never mind.
Well, most people draw a schematic out and there's a doohickey here attached to a doohickey there, but that doohickey's gray and that one's black. So
so you literally have to disassemble things and measure them in order to actually do it.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Glad I wasn't wrong. Glad I didn't do that. Also, not worth it.
I mean, luckily we don't do a whole lot of reverse engineering. If anything, it's like if I see a pedal, I'm like, oh wow, that's really unique sounding. I wonder how they have their gain stages structured.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of like everybody does it because it's a learning tool. You're like, oh wow, I never thought about doing it that way. That's a cool trick, A lot like if you're watching someone playing guitar, and you hear something that bends your ear a little bit, you're like, huh, what's he doing there?
Mm-hmm.
And so you slow it down. You're like, that's a cool trick. It doesn't mean that you're going to incorporate that lick into your solo, every time you play out or whatever. But it just means that you're like, oh, I never thought about that little lick there with that bend, with that melody over that chord shape. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot like that.
It's more like just kind of like learning the details and kind of drawing inspiration from.
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. So, because at the end of the day, I mean, if we're talking analog stuff, I mean, there's a handful of basics that you're going to use if you're talking, dirt, overdrive, or fuzz pedals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're using a transistor fuzz pedal, you're probably going to set up that transistor one of a handful of ways. You know what I mean? It's not going to be. I mean, there's, without drawing out a schematic via an audio podcast, I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. You're not going to arrange it in such a way that it would never ever work.
Right.
It's only going to work a handful of ways.
Yeah.
So,
and some of those ways might be non-spec sheet ways, but there's still only so many ways it'll work.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes you might look at that and you're like, oh wow, they're using a Darlington pair there. That's a cool idea. You know. Um,
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time I made that statement,
oh, I know.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have any nickels.
Those
Anyway,
those Darlington pairs are way different than the Darlington singles.
are they really? Well,
yeah. All the engineers right now are going, what? What an idiot. There's no such thing as a Darlington single. It's stupid.
Hey, you could have totally just pulled the wool over me and I would have like repeated it somewhere, and then somebody would have been like, "Where'd you learn that?" I'm like, Brian Wampler told me these Darlington singles are the way to go for maximum gain. And then everyone would have said, "Well, we're not buying any Wampler pedals." So good thing you didn't do that.
Yeah, I was going to say a bad joke about Match.com and transistor Darlington, but never mind. See, because matching transistors. Anyways,
right, yeah. Yes.
Forget it. Yeah, I won't even go there. That's stupid. I should have never said that.
Okay. So we went off track. We were going to talk about like how you organize your day because that's where we were kind of leading. But now we're talking about matching transistors. So
hey, every transistor needs its mate.
They got to have it, right?
Yeah. Some say
they get lonely. Lonely little transistors
floating
out there.
You don't want a lonely transistor.
No.
So anyway, structuring my day.
Yes, because like you're all over the place. So like, do you have a kind of method to the madness, or do you just have to roll with the punches?
Man, it changes by the minute, and every day I start up thinking, here's my plan, and maybe 30 minutes later, maybe 2 hours later, it radically changes. Mm-hmm. It's just it's oh look, the shopping cart on the website broke. That sucks.
Oh, yeah.
we probably should get this fixed pretty quick, so I mean it's all over the place of what needs to be done, or it could just be a million things, you picked out paint
change. Yeah
you picked out paint colors for a pedal, and the person painting the pedal, or the company painting the pedal, calls you to say, yeah, I can't get it to look like the swatch, and they send you a picture of it and you're like, that looks terrible. What do we do now? Mm-hmm. Well, then you have to figure out, okay, so what kind of base coat did you use? Like all these little details that you're trying to figure out that problem.
Right.
So like these are pedal building problems that we work through, So, and this, I've said it before, it's not nearly as glamorous as one might think. It's, looking at an iPhone picture of a pedal and you're like, why does it look yellowish gray instead of dark gray with sparkles?
Right.
And then, and you don't know. You're like, well, I don't know. It's, I use this base and with these numbers, and this is the thickness on the base, and, it's at this temperature and this humidity, and it's very... that part of it's pretty boring.
Yeah, that's true. What would be? I mean, this is a little bit off track, but what would be the actual exciting part for you? Because there has to be exciting parts to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. Because I know you.
Yeah. So my favorite parts are one, designing new stuff, and two, really talking to customers. Huh. And with my very favorite being doing YouTube videos. Hey.
Well,
I just enjoy.
Not surprising.
I just enjoy it. I know it's weird, and not that I'm the best at it, but it's fun. I like doing them. I like being able to be my real self rather than the perceived Brian Wampler that people expect me to be.
Well, and here I really was hoping you were going to say, well, you know what the highlight of my week is? Every week when we sit down to record the Chasing Tone podcast, I get to talk to Blake. I was hoping that was going to be the highlight reel.
No, that's so far. Yeah, that's part of it, yeah.
Or is this, is this the equivalent of trying to match paint colors? Oh man.
This is kind of in between. This is kind of like maybe aligning knobs on a pedal so they all point to the same direction. Whenever they're turned all the way down.
I guess I kind of like that. That's sort of
Yeah.
cool.
Do that 4,000 times in a row and let me know how you like it.
Do you do that for more than just like product photos and stuff? Then now this is getting into nitty gritty.
Every pedal, the knobs are set to a specific place. Yep. Went all the way down. Yep.
Oh, went all the way down. Oh, whoa.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was mistaken. I thought you were talking about like aligning them to a spot. You know what I mean? For like pictures and stuff.
Oh no! Like, do we make sure they're all at noon or something when we ship it out?
Yeah. That's what I thought you meant, but that seems excessive.
No, I mean, it's probably not a bad idea. I'm sure there's someone out there somewhere who's, pulls pedals out of the box and plugs it in like, this sucks. Send it back,
Send it back.
The tone's all the way up. The bass is all the way down, There's no gain. Volume's all the way up. I'm like, this is terrible. Worst Marshall pedal ever. Or Marshall sounding pedal, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we don't do that. No, it's just we're the assembly process.
Mm-hmm.
When you turn all the knobs down, all of them. You know what I mean? Like all of them are as far down as they can go.
Mm-hmm.
I want them all to be uniform.
I see,
and I think that's kind of an OCD thing. If they're off a little bit, it absolutely drives me crazy. I hate that.
You hate it when they're off a little bit from each other. That's good though. I think though. That's an extinct bird. We don't need to talk about that. I think that's good though, because the main thing you want is a quality product but also consistent. And that's part of being consistent. So
that's a small part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's probably excessively boring, but I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Right. Luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. I did used to do that, but now there's another person that does it. They hate that job.
Is there anyone that would like that job? Seriously?
Like, oh man, come on, let me match transistors or something.
Like, at least come on, anything. Let me pick out paint swatches. I can pick out paint swatches, please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can I monitor the humidity in the powder coat room? Come on.
Could I please cut my hand off at the wrist instead? Could I please do that? That sounds more enjoyable.
Just kick me in the jimmy and get it over with.
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
No way.
Pretty much.
Yep. Anyway, so that's interesting. No, those are pieces of the pie that I don't really think about. We've kind of taken this in a different direction, but I mean,
it has a life of its own at this point.
It does. It's like Frankenstein's monster. It's just out there lumbering around, not making any sense, and scaring villagers. That's what it's doing. Okay, so we've talked about the exciting part. And then you talked about the aligning knobs and making sure everything's there. Is that the worst part? Or is there something you hate even more than doing that part?
No, honestly, the parts that I hate are really spreadsheet based. I'm not a spreadsheet guy at all. I just, like Excel, I want to die. I want Excel to die.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you need it.
But it's like that annoying relative. Like, you don't want it to go away, really, but you kind of do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
yes. So I mean, luckily, like I said, my lovely wife is very good at looking at those spreadsheets and saying, "All right, Brian, let me put this in a simple way that a 3-year-old can understand." And I'm like, I get it. We made money this month. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Like, let me make this simple. We're broke, so you have to sell some stuff. Oh, okay. All right, we can do that.
Make this simple. You have 2 choices. You either sell your tractor or, we're out of business.
Oh no, not my tractor.
Not my tractor, baby doll. We live in Martinsville. I'm going to drive to town.
How are we gonna drive to town? How are we gonna get to the chew spitting competition if we don't got a tractor?
You know darn good and well there's a chew spitting competition on the square on Thursdays.
We need to be there for it.
I am defending my position as champion.
So, Brian, what's your current record? How far have you been able to launch projectile chew spit?
Well, I'm not as young as I used to be, but down here we measure it in arm lengths. I'm up to about 4 arm lengths.
Four arm grown men arm lengths, or how do you?
Well, see, that's the discrepancy. That's the big to do around here on the square, because you got a long arm, then your distance is short. But if you got a short arm, then your distance is long.
So you're measuring it in your own arm length.
I'm looking for like 3-year-olds. I'm like, hey, measure this for me. No,
why do we always
so,
talk about chewing tobacco? Why does that always happen?
Because of I don't even remember the guy's name on YouTube now that we did like 8 episodes
Dipper,
ago.
I know.
Outlaw Dipper, yeah.
But like we always revert. It's like our comedic crutch at this point.
Because the truth is, the town that I live in, and now that Travis Feaster lives in,
right,
is a very Mayberry-esque type of town, and literally chewing tobacco is what. I'm trying to equate it with something here. So probably drinking coffee in Portland is like what everyone does, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Here it's chewing tobacco and driving tractors.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So you have me in the middle of the country. I live on about 10 acres, which most people are like, holy crap, that has to cost a fortune. It actually doesn't. It's cheaper than an apartment in New York. So land's really cheap here. So, it's I live out in the middle of nowhere, kind of a hermit. I like to be a true artiste and go be alone and design guitar pedals.
Well, okay, that seems to be working out for you so far.
That's what I like to do. I like to keep to myself and design guitar stuff.
Well, all right, we'll keep doing it. You're doing a fine job.
It's worked out so far. So, but no, I mean, to kind of get a little bit backwards to what we were talking about as far as time management and stuff. So, prior to this, my 2 kids, I did not have full-time custody of. It was like a day through the week and every other weekend, which that changed my schedule where I had several days every week where I could like hammer out 20-hour days, big time. You know what I mean? And now I actually have custody of my son, who's 16 now. He came to live with me, and what that means is 3 hours of driving him back and forth to school a day.
3 hours?
And 45 there, 45 back, work,
gotcha.
Then go pick him up, 45 there, 45 back. So gotcha. My whole entire schedule has completely, and he started this week. So my whole entire schedule has completely changed. I am like on the verge of a nervous breakdown trying to get everything done.
Well, he's 16, right? He's 16,
yes,
right?
yeah, but he doesn't have his license yet. So
that's what I say. You got to get that boy his license so he can take the tractor to school.
Exactly. I mean,
then you'll be fine, and you'll have your 3 hours a day back in your life, and he'll have 6 hours trying to drive to school in a tractor.
Right. No, truth is, I wouldn't trade it. I mean, if I've told a lot of people that if you got to choose one, family always comes first. Always, every time.
Well, you get to hang out with them for 45 minutes too. That's the bright side.
There's conversations there that you'll always treasure and cherish, and you soak up every bit of it.
Good
so
stuff.
It's good. It's good for me. It's probably a little bit bad for the business because it means that I don't. it's harder for me to answer people as promptly as I once did. Even though I still am pretty good at it, because we get to a stoplight and I'm like, holy crap, do this. Texting people and emailing people. But yeah, it's good, man. Being a pedal builder at this, and I hate to say this level. It's not that I'm at a level. I guess maybe volume.
The HNL, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just it has its own struggles, just like any business would. And I think a lot of people kind of think it's a lot more glamorous than it really is. I mean, it's fun, it's great, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of work involved that's really not fun. Like we talked about, the paint swatches and so on.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff like that a lot that is a big part of the business. And to all those people out there that are thinking of starting their pedal business, and I know there's a lot of them that listen to this podcast as well. That's the thing you're juggling. You're juggling life and enjoying life, and also running your pedal business. And it's hard, man. It's worn out many people.
Well, I think the whole "it's not as glamorous as it looks" thing is probably applicable to almost anything that you think is super awesome.
Yeah.
There's always a flip side that people don't see or don't think about, where it's not that interesting or
Right.
it's cumbersome, but like nothing's perfect.
Right. Well,
I mean,
that's a good point there. I mean, I was I need to drop a name here for a second.
mm-hmm.
So I was hanging out with the Brad Paisley guys this weekend.
Who?
They were in town. Brad Paisley, he had a hit once or twice. I don't know the names of them now.
I don't know who that is. Yeah. So,
but,
okay.
But yeah, so I was hanging out with those guys, and and one of the things that one of them said is, there's not a whole lot to do all day long. We're waiting to play for those hour and a half, that 2 hours, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're just waiting to do that. There's nothing to do, and and the boredom is so intense a lot of times that it's what drives a lot of people into drug and alcohol habits and all whatever habits. Whatever those habits are,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, not the Brad Paisley guys, but musicians in general who are touring, I think that's the problem they fight. You would think it'd be glamorous because you're up on stage and the lights and women are throwing their phone numbers at you and all this stuff, and that's a very, 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 very small part of it.
Yeah, then if you go like to a smaller band, there's a good chance you're loading your own stuff in. There's all this other stuff that's
driving in a van for the next 12 hours to the next venue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Eating, living on Cheetos and like I don't know, Hershey syrup or something. Like it's just
exactly.
I think just there's bad things and good things, no matter what you're doing. It's just kind of is what it is. Sometimes we don't like to think about the bad things. We're like, oh, if I could just move 1,000 pedals a month, think of how good I'd be doing. It's like, well, it comes with its own struggles,
Yeah.
So
exactly, and every level above that is it has its own unique struggles, and they're always harder. They really are. The problems get more intense. They get harder to solve. And I've had people ask me, like, how big do you want to get? And that's a good question. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I can't imagine like being like Paul Reed Smith or, that size, a big, huge company. You know what I mean? That's still churning out things here in America. And that's man, I just can't imagine the intensity of life at that point.
Well, and then something that's not really thought about too is like, that sounds all fine and dandy, but you got to remember that when you get to that size, and you know this already because you have employees, you got a lot of people depending on you to make it work. Because if they don't, if you don't make it work, then they don't get to make their mortgage payment.
Right, and not only that, there's a whole different set of things you need to learn and be. Like, for example, if you to use the Paul Reed Smith example again, you're not just Paul Reed Smith, the guy that builds great guitars. You're now a leader, a boss, a manager. Like you're like all this other businessy type stuff. And I know, like for me, I'm only good at like not 1% of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
suck at like everything else. I'm really bad at everything else. So a lot of that stuff. Luckily, my wife has really taken those reins and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I kind of I've listened to your podcast where other builders kind of talk about the same thing. I know, like Jamie from Earthquaker. Jamie designs. He's just hardcore grinding out stuff, and his wife takes care of a lot of the business end sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
And she's good at it. She's really good at it. And Jamie's good at what he does, and it works great.
Yeah. I think that is important. Like, it's always, I mean, in the beginning you have to wear all the hats, but I think it's important to recognize when it's time to hand hats off.
Yes.
And that's something I've told people before too. They're like, I just can't do X. I'm like, well, then maybe you don't need to do X. Maybe you need to, because I try to help people with this stuff sometimes.
Right.
And it's just like, well, maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you need to have somebody else do it. Well, I can't afford to have somebody else do it. And it's like, well, but you're not doing a good job of it.
Right. You're at the end of the day, you can't afford not to have someone else do it because you're not good at that and you're messing it up.
Right. You're making it worse. You're digging the hole deeper, by trying to, keep grinding or whatever.
Yep. Very true.
There's lots of people who tell you like the most important thing to learn to do is to delegate, because nobody really wants to if you have that kind of entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah. Yep. You want to do it yourself, and it's just not possible. There's a level you always reach it. Well, you don't always reach it, but as you get bigger, you reach it. You just can't. You can't do it yourself. You have to find people who are better and smarter than you,
right,
and hire them.
And let them do their thing.
Get out of their way. Yep. There was a well-known builder, no names mentioned here. I had this exact conversation. Like you've got to hire people that are better at it at this particular area, no more than you do, and you have to get out of their way so they can do their job. Because you're micromanaging and you suck at it. You suck at this particular niche. I love you, dude, but you suck at this particular niche. Get out of their way and let them do their job. So,
is that the title of this episode?
That I was gonna say. So that is my ending thought. Don't suck at things unless you're willing to
get good at them? I don't know.
Do what?
Unless maybe you're willing to get good at it. I don't know.
That's a terrible title. I call it that. How about just don't suck at things? There you go.
That's a good title, yeah.
All right, so if anyone out there has any questions about not sucking or anything else, particularly, hopefully, guitar related, make sure you email Brian at Wampler. You can email me, I guess, Brian at wamplerpedals.com or podcast at wamplerpedals.com. Either one. They both go to me. It really doesn't matter. So you can email Blake at Gmail or whatever.
One of these times. You'll get it one of these days.
Podcast at Tone. Podcast.
Every time.
Tone.
I get. You know what? I feel like Rodney Dangerfield right now. Like, I get no respect. info@tonemob.com, or you can, message me on any of the stuff, the social media stuff, or whatever your preferred method of contact is. I always do my best to respond to everybody because you guys are important.
Blake really likes when you text him at 615.
Don't give up our number, Brian. I made that mistake before.
All right, so with that, we will hopefully be back next week. Do you think we'll be back next week, Blake?
Oh, we'll be back next week.
You feeling good about it?
Yeah. I got a topic chambered next week that's going to be really fun and actually more guitar related than general what we just did.
We're actually talking about Guitar Gear next week. Awesome.
I know. It's going to be sweet. So.
All right. Well, everyone have a good week, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Later.